So we talked about how most of us are used to building monolithic applications. What tends to trip people up when they first start building microservices is that it's a different way of approaching a problem. You don't just create a single application and run, and there are a few moving parts which can make it a little bit more complex when getting started. In this lesson, I want to take a few minutes and identify those different parts of our JHipster microservices architecture. So first, we have the JHipster registry, which is a runtime application on which all applications register and get their configuration from. It also provides monitoring dashboards. Next, a gateway is a JHipster generated application using the application type microservice gateway when you generate it that handles web traffic and serves our Angular application up. There can be several different gateways if you want to follow the backend for front end pattern, but it's not mandatory. Usually we'll only have one gateway per application. Next, microservices are JHipster generated application, again using the application type microservice application when you generate them, that handle all of our REST requests. They are stateless and several instances of them can be launched in parallel to handle heavy loads. And again, I have one-to-many in parentheses there is because these are the different services that we're building out. So we may have a blog microservice, we may have a store microservice, and so on. Finally, the JHipster console is a monitoring and alerting console based on the ELK stack. So let's go ahead and take a look at a diagram that kind of shows us what's going on in our architecture here. So up top, you can see that we have Netflix, Spring Boot, and Docker. Those are kind of the main components of our stack here. On the left, we first talked about our JHipster registry, which is built on Eureka server and a config server from Spring Boot. You also have the option of using console by HashiCorp. We're not going to cover that in this course, but you should do some reading on that. In certain instances, there can be some advantages to using that over the registry, but we're just going to use the JHipster registry here in this example. So then we go back up top, and you see that a request comes into the browser on port 8080. The first thing that we're going to hit in our application is our gateway. And this is using the Zool proxy to proxy out our request to our microservices. The gateway contains the front end to our application. In our case, it's going to be an Angular application. So then what we do is we proxy all of those requests from the gateway to the individual microservices. So if you come in and you're looking for, say, a list of blog posts, you'll be forwarded on to the blog microservice. If you're on a store and you're looking at an example product, then you'll be forwarded on to the product or store microservice, and so on. And then down at the bottom, again, we have our JHipster console application built on the ELK stack that allows us to monitor and get alerts based on our entire system. So that's kind of the architecture of our microservices application. And again, I think what trips people up really is all the different moving pieces and parts. But once you really start to understand what role each of these applications do in the greater good of our larger application, then it makes a lot more sense. And it's going to make even more sense as we start to build these out. So let's start doing that and take a look at the sample application that we're going to build in this section.